There is much talk in the Stoic internet community about how we should act and what habits we should have to become better and lead a virtuous life. But little is said about the habits we already have that are entirely negative for our lives. Epictetus used to say the following: "There are two vices much darker and more serious than the rest, the lack of persistence and the lack of self-control." To persist and resist, Epictetus knew that the key to living correctly is to persist and resist. To persist means not to stop making an effort and to act in the right way, even when we don't feel like it. It means developing new ways of acting that make us better. Creating good habits is not easy, so we must be persistent. The other key is to resist. To resist means to avoid temptations and bad habits that destroy us. We must master our minds to avoid everything that does not add to us. In this channel, there are several videos where I talk about Stoic good habits, but I haven't talked about the things we should avoid, what habits and customs of our daily life we should resist. Now is the perfect time to start eliminating from your life everything that makes you worse. Avoid negative emotions that distract you or end everything that prevents you from achieving your goals. In this video, I will talk about 9 habits that we all have in our daily lives and that we should avoid if we want to live fully and happily. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you liked the video, as it helps me bring this philosophy to more people. If you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe and hit the bell. Stop wasting your time. Seneca used to say the following: "We complain that our days are few, but we act as if they were endless." Seneca reflected a lot on the duration of life and came to the conclusion that many of us don't really live, we just exist. We waste our time doing things that don't add anything to us and postpone what we have to do when we're lazy. We act as if we were going to live forever and don't realize that time is the most valuable resource we have. Nothing guarantees that we'll be alive tomorrow or in a position to do what we want. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Let this reflection on time make you not waste it and value it as it deserves. The first step to living a good life is to start taking the time we have seriously. Stop emotionally clinging to things. Stoics believe that we should learn to let go, not only physically but also emotionally. If you've made a mistake in your life, don't torture yourself for it. Learn from it to avoid making it again. Guilt and regret don't help. This doesn't mean it's wrong to feel these emotions. These emotions help us understand that we've acted wrongly. But once we've understood that we've acted wrongly and learned from the situation to avoid making the same mistake, we shouldn't let these emotions continue to torment us. We all make mistakes. Don't suffer excessively for them and always seek ways to grow with the error. Stop procrastinating. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations the following: "You could do something good today, yet you choose to do it tomorrow." Or, in the words of Seneca, "All fools have in common that they are always getting ready to begin." We prefer to say, "I'll do it tomorrow," instead of saying, "I'll never do it." Many times when we postpone something, it's to never do it. If you have something to do, do it now. What's the point of postponing something you have to do, even if you're lazy? It's always better to do what you must do now for several reasons. The first, as I mentioned before, is that our time is limited. The second is that rest is more enjoyable when we have fulfilled our obligations. When you postpone something out of laziness, you feel guilty and know that you should be doing something instead of resting. You don't enjoy rest in the same way because deep down, you know you don't deserve it. The worst part is that sooner or later, you will have to fulfill that obligation, so you gain absolutely nothing by postponing it. Few sensations surpass the satisfaction of a job well done, and doing a job well means doing it at the right time, not later. Stop seeking benefit or recognition in everything you do. If you've done something well, if you've helped someone, if you've been successful at something, stop looking for approval or recognition from others. Thinking that others should thank you for what you do for them, or that they should congratulate you on what you've achieved will only bring you suffering. You don't control what others think. You don't control if they appreciate or reject what you do. You control only your actions. The purpose of an action should be the action itself, not the recognition. If you do something, do it because it makes you happy, or because you believe it's the right thing to do. Recognition and praise from others usually come after a job well done. But if nobody recognizes your effort and work, it's okay. You didn't do it for that. You did it because it was what needed to be done. Understand that thinking this way will make you feel satisfied with yourself regardless of what others think. Focus on giving your best. Stop turning a blind eye. In Stoicism, one of the most important virtues is justice. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Cicero talked a lot in their works about this virtue. Being just means acting correctly with others, doing what we should. In the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius talks about how we can also commit injustices when we do nothing in the face of an injustice. Doing nothing and letting an injustice pass makes us complicit. A big part of being just involves avoiding injustices that happen around us, even if they're not caused by us. Stoics are people who avoid unnecessary conflicts because they believe we should live in harmony with others. However, there are situations where a Stoic can't look the other way. When an unnecessary conflict becomes a necessary conflict is when an injustice is being committed against oneself or others. A Stoic should defend themselves without forgetting the 4 Stoic virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Although we can't control the unjust actions of others, our actions to prevent them are under our control, and that makes us responsible for acting. Avoiding this responsibility makes us complicit in injustice, even if it wasn't caused by us. Don't be afraid of change. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The fate of everything is to change, transform, perish, so that everything new can emerge." Everything in life is subject to change, both the good and the bad. Trying to keep everything the same, besides keeping you focused on something you can't control, prevents you from discovering the great number of opportunities that exist and can appear in your life. Don't be afraid of these changes because they are inevitable, and most of the time beneficial. Instead of focusing on avoiding change, focus on adapting to it and keeping what's new in your life. Thanks to changes, we can become better and evolve. This doesn't mean we should reject what we have now in search of changes in our life. If we're satisfied with what we have, it just means we shouldn't be afraid of it, because we have the ability to adapt to whatever life presents to us. Don't be a slave. Seneca wrote the following, "Who is not a slave? One person is a slave to lust, another to greed, a third to ambition, and all are slaves to hope, all are slaves to fear. There is no servitude more shameful than the one we assume voluntarily." Seneca was right in saying that we are all slaves to something. Many times we don't even realize it. We've forgotten that to be truly free, we must have our mind completely under our control and be able to resist the temptations that come into our life. The best tool to achieve freedom and master our mind is discipline. For some, it will be harder than for others, but we must all remind ourselves daily who is in charge, us or our impulses. Or, in the words of Epictetus, no man is free who is not a master of himself. Don't settle for mediocrity. Strive for excellence. Whenever you do something in your life, ask yourself, did I give it my best? If you look back on your life, you'll realize that in many situations you didn't give it your best. The question is, why are you doing something that doesn't deserve your best? And if it does, why didn't you give it your best? Ask yourself this with everything you do, and always try to do your best. We don't control if we succeed in what we do. We don't control if we win or lose. We don't control if we will be recognized for what we do. But we do control giving our maximum effort and doing our best in what we do. Everything else that is not in our control shouldn't matter, because settling for mediocrity when you have the ability to do something extraordinary. Don't let anxiety dominate you. In the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote the following, "Today, escape from anxiety, or at least discard it, because it is within you in your own perceptions, not outside. External events are not the cause of anxiety. You are the only responsible one, because this feeling arises within you due to your thoughts about your future problems." Anxiety doesn't help you, doesn't make you better, and doesn't even help you solve the problem. It's just a thought that torments you, thinking about what may or may not happen in the future. Realize that no matter what happens in the future, even with a lot of uncertainty in your life, you have probably overcome worse situations before. Understand that you have the tools to deal with whatever comes in the future. Distinguish between things you can't control and things that are under your control, and think about the worst that can happen. In many cases, you will realize that the situation is less serious than you thought. Do you have any habits in your life that you want to eliminate? I look forward to your response in the comments. I hope this video helps you get rid of habits that we all have in our daily lives and that don't do us any good. Eliminating these habits and incorporating new ones into your life, as I explain on this channel, is the way to lead a peaceful, happy, and purposeful life.